And am I allowed to start since I don't know if I'm the chair or anything or whatever, or how do we do this?
Yeah, you call the meeting to order and then you can vote on electing a new chairperson.
Okay. All right. So meeting is called to order at 4:32 on November 18th, 2025. And Kathy and I have been thankfully reelected. I guess we need to vote on a chair for the commission. So,
So I nominate you, Alyssa. I don't think
thanks.
anybody's prepared.
I second it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Well, I'm glad to do it, and it will all keep me on my toes. So, all right. So let's call this meeting to order and get moving here. We have
Yep.
Katie Shelton here with us,
Could,
who
could, could
I have
you
been.
just could you all vote on
Oh,
that?
sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry. Jumped right in. All in
Yep.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Um, so I'd like to introduce everybody to Katie Shelton, and she is with Green Bank. And Lyle and I have been talking with her about looking into solar down at the sewer plant. And her recommendation came one from Barbara Hurst for our treasurer, and then the other one was Jeff Cataldo over at Kent School. And so I'm going to hand this meeting over this section over to Katie so she can explain who she is and what we're doing.
Great. Thanks for the introduction and lovely to meet you all.
Yep.
My name's Katie Shelton. I work as the Senior Manager of Market Engagement for a program at the Connecticut Green Bank called Solar Map Plus. It stands for Marketplace Assistance Program Plus. And I'll chat a little bit about that program here in just a second. For anybody who's not familiar, the Connecticut Green Bank is a quasi-public state agency here in Connecticut. We were founded in 2011 with the goal of accelerating the green economy in the state. The Solar Map Plus program that I just mentioned is a unique program for the Connecticut Green Bank in that we really lead on solar and battery storage project development. Most projects that the Green Bank works on are contractor-led projects where a property owner is engaging directly with a solar contractor and then bringing projects to the Green Bank for financing. The Solar Map Plus program that I work for was created a few years ago after identifying a gap within the marketplace, specifically with municipalities, where we were hearing feedback that there was interest in pursuing solar and battery storage projects for municipal facilities and schools, but there just wasn't the time or resources available in order to really vet these projects and ultimately implement them into development. So that's the gap that the Green Bank is looking to fill within the marketplace through this program, is to provide no-cost technical assistance and project development support for solar and battery storage. We work with municipalities, so that's the goal of the conversation today. We've also expanded our program since its initial inception to also work with state agencies. And then as of January of last year, we expanded the program to also include affordable multifamily housing. So again, we really work with property owners from point A to Z, so initial conversation all the way through scoping a project. And that includes a two-part assessment where we start with a desktop review. We'll run through what we've already completed for the sewer facility here in just a second. That's high-level scoping based off of available resources to determine system size, production, and the general layout. Second part of our assessment is an on-site visit. We work with a technical partner called CSW that ultimately would complete an on-site visit to the facility. That's really verifying the on-site conditions and dialing in that layout and production estimate. Ultimately, that information comes together for us to put a package out for competitive bid. And Green Bank manages that process. The way that we develop projects is in rounds. So we wait until we have a portfolio of like projects together. In your case, it would be municipal projects that we have in development. We pool a portfolio of projects together, and then it goes out for competitive bid for contractor selection. Benefit of that process is ultimately that it's not a huge administrative burden on your end in order to run that procurement process. But in addition, because we have economies of scale by pooling a number of projects together, we find that it really maximizes the savings to participants in our program. From there, ultimately, what we would look to do is run that RFP and select a contractor. We would be coming back to you all with site-specific numbers to review and make contracting decisions off of. In terms of timing for our program, we're currently targeting either December or very early Q1 of 2026 for that RFP release. Timing for this portfolio is ultimately dependent on the release of some guidance at the federal level in relation to the phase out of the investment tax credit that's available for solar. So timing for your project is particularly important because you fall within the window of time where there's kind of an accelerated phase out of the investment tax credit. What we are looking to do for your project and a portfolio of other municipal projects that we currently have in development is to release that RFP, select a contractor, and ultimately do what's called safe harboring. That means that the Green Bank is ultimately leaning forward on procuring materials for your project in order to lock in that tax credit and preserve the project economics. These projects are developed through what's called a PPA, or a power purchase agreement, and that is really a third-party ownership structure. So Green Bank would serve as the third-party system owner and or one of our financing partners. We bear the development costs associated with the project, and then you would either benefit from on-bill monetary credits on your utility bill directed from the solar system, or you would be purchasing the power that the system produces at a reduced rate per kilowatt hour that is fixed for 20 years. Those two options exist through the incentive program at the state level. Ultimately, we run the modeling both ways to determine which option is going to maximize your financial benefit. Because this is a third-party ownership structure, Green Bank's responsible, again, for bearing all of the development costs associated with the project, so there's no out-of-pocket expense on your end whatsoever. We're also responsible for all of the operations and maintenance throughout the contract term. As Alyssa mentioned, we have worked with the Kent schools on a project through the Solar Map Plus program. To date, our program has successfully developed over 60 solar projects for municipalities and state agencies. We have a number of projects in various stages of development currently that are not quite commercially operational. I'm gonna hit pause there and just see if there are any specific questions, and then we can pull up the desktop review assessment that we've completed to date for the site.
No questions. Sounds good.
All right. Questions from anybody else? Nope. Okay.
You're lucky. All right. So as I mentioned, our assessments are done in two phases. The first phase is that desktop review where we're looking at publicly available resources and mapping, giving you a high-level overview of the potential to install solar on site. We actually did two different assessments for this site. You'll see on the screen here version 1, which is a larger layout. It is sized at 250 kW, and that would produce about 300,000 kilowatt hours in the first year of production. We were provided 3 different utility bills for the basis of kind of estimating a size for this project. You'll see here in the bottom left-hand side of the screen that the annual usage across those 3 accounts totaled about
just under 167,000 kilowatt hours over the course of a 12-month period.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Sorry.
Oh.
On the screen. That's better.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks for flagging. So this is the layout. Based off of the load on the 3 utility bills that we were provided, this is currently oversized. About double what is actually required for the utility bills that we've been provided to date. Because you would fall under the category of a SAM customer, so state agricultural or municipal customer, you're in that municipal category, you do have potentially the ability to oversize the system as we've proposed here on the screen. We would need to utilize beneficial accounts to justify the system size that we're proposing. So that would mean that the town would have to allow you to utilize other accounts, town hall facilities, fire departments, whatever utility bills or town accounts that are being paid for. And that would allow you to oversize the system here on site. The conversation would be on your end, whether or not you're keeping 100% of the financial benefit from the project, or if you would need to share in the benefit if you're using those accounts to justify your load here on site. But in theory, it is feasible. Alyssa, I did send you a note right before this call. Looking at the GIS property card for the parcel, it is listed as Town of Kent as the property owner. So to me, that opens up the ability to use other town accounts, but it would require some additional vetting since you said that the school specifically owns the property.
Okay.
So just wanted to flag that. The design as proposed here is oversized on the screen. You have the space available. In addition to just tracking down the correct entity that owns the property, the other kind of barrier to development here that we need to diligence a bit further is just going to be underground utilities. In working with Lyle, I don't believe that there are any maps available that show where the underground utilities are located. So it's something that the Green Bank is going to want to have flagged in order to understand that a bit further. So we're going to investigate that as part of this project. There is some specialized racking that we can use for these sites, which is called ballasted racking, that would avoid having to penetrate underground in order to install the solar itself. But there's some additional diligence that we need on this end, and something that the Green Bank will be vetting a bit further.
Everybody takes a look at that drawing. We put it there because this way we believe we won't run into any problems in that location there which is the big red rectangle. And that if it's like Katie said, oversized, then other municipalities could benefit from the size of this. And since we have the space to do it, I think it'd probably be a really good idea.
Yep.
Great summary. So we do have one other layout. This was actually completed a few years ago. There was a discussion with the Green Bank about solar for this facility. And what you'll see here on the screen is a system that's sized at 81.6 kW. And it's sized to produce just under 106,000 kilowatt hours. This is really based off of the main utility account for the facility, and that's how it was sized. Quite a bit smaller, and you'll see that it is much closer to the actual facility. It's not laid back as far on the property as the version 1 that we just explored. In terms of sizing, again, we just need to verify that we can use other town beneficial accounts to justify the larger system size. If not, we'll have to downsize to something that's in the realm of the version that you see here on the screen. So we wanted to show both to you. So last thing that I just wanted to run through with you all is timing of the project. As I mentioned, time is of the essence for project development here. and that's due to the accelerated phase out of the investment tax credit for solar. We're looking to include you in our next upcoming RFP, but ultimately we are waiting until we receive those results. So we have site-specific numbers to share with you before we would look to execute that power purchase agreement. And that's largely just because there's a lot up in the air right now in terms of availability of materials that will meet the FIAC compliance requirements. And contractors are just super busy with trying to install solar within a time frame that meets the compliance requirements here as a result of the One Big Beautiful Bill. So we're flipping our development process a bit. That's why I don't have site-specific numbers to share with you all today. But once we run that RFP, we'll have solicited responses from the market, and we'll have numbers to share with you ultimately to execute that power purchase agreement.
Okay.
Any questions for me?
Just to let you know, tomorrow, Lyle and I have a meeting with Sam Delano, who's from Greenbank, to go to physically look at the plant to see, what we should do and, go from there. So that is in the works.
Hey, Katie,
Yes.
is the 250 size the biggest we could go? Or you think we go big and include all the town municipalities and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so ultimately it comes down to what you have for available space on site and then what you have for load to justify that system size. So you'll see here that we're pretty well maxed out on the available space that you have here that's open.
Yeah.
Ultimately, if they do the site walk and determine that they can go a little bit larger, we'll certainly come back to you to propose that. But this is the current estimate that's in place just based off of that available mapping.
Okay.
The only other thing that I would just flag for you is one of the resources that we check is called hosting capacity. It's a publicly available resource with the utilities where we plug and play your address and it tells us what type of capacity the grid has to support a project on site. And you are limited currently at, I believe, 200 kilowatts AC, if memory serves me correctly. So that's kind of the other limiting factor here. We ultimately wouldn't know until we get into project development whether or not that's 100% accurate. But based off of the information that's publicly available currently, that is a gating item in terms of sizing.
Sorry for my million questions. So the electrical limited is infrastructure, the wiring, and what we're set up for right now.
Yes. Essentially, it's the capacity that the grid can support without substantial utility upgrades on site.
The grid that we've yet to build, not the grid or the electrical grid that we have.
The existing grid.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
My pleasure.
I have a question. What's the life expectancy of this installation?
Great question. So our contract term would be 20 years, and that's just to match the length of the revenue contract that we would be securing with Eversource. It's a standard 20-year term, but the actual expected useful life of the equipment industry standard is typically 25 to 30 years. So it will exceed the contract period.
So my concern would be sometime in the next 20 years that the plant gets expanded. It looks like you've taken land that's right adjacent to the existing plant. If we need space and it's occupied by solar, that's not going to be a good situation. Has anybody looked into the future to see what kind of footprint the expansion would take up? I know whether or not this solar business is going to compromise it.
Good question. Go ahead, Lyle. You're muted. Sorry.
I don't know. If I may interject here, that if we do a plant upgrade, from what I gather, since the Housatonic River is a Class B water,
Maybe they're still there. I'll come back, yeah.
Waterway. Somebody's talking. I don't know.
We're going to an event.
Janet, please.
Anyways,
No, no, stay there.
Housatonic River is a Class B waterway, and if we did upgrade the plant, it would turn to a Class 3 plant, and those holding beds that are on the screen north of the rectangle, those beds would be decommissioned. So that would provide more space for plant expansion, and the discharge from the plant would go into the river.
So if you take those
That's
beds
my
out, Lyle, where does that?
That effluent that goes into them settling beds, that would be discharged into the river.
Down here,
Yes.
south. Okay, thanks.
So if that's the case for the expansion, we would gain that area there.
Okay.
So we're not in a flood zone or an elevation that out there that's going to prohibit installing anything.
And not that I know of.
Those
That flood plain goes all the way back to where the trees are.
Oh, all right. So everything's in it anyway, right? The
Yeah,
whole plant?
where the trees are. I believe that's listed as a flood plain.
On the right side?
Yes.
Okay.
Katie, I had a question.
Shoot.
Please.
Sure. In regards to the sharing of the capacity with other municipal entities, be it the school or town hall, does that then bar them from doing their own solar project because they're already essentially all being offset? Would the school, Kent Center School or the town hall, do they have to take that into consideration if they consider their own solar project?
So they would need to take that into consideration. So it does impact their future development opportunities.
And how does that sounds like that's complicated, a lot of stakeholders there, and it's sort of a long-term agreement. You've successfully done that before, or just sounds like a lot of wrangling of different entities?
So we have. We've done it with a number of state projects. Can't say explicitly that I personally have done it on municipal projects, but I just started at the Green Bank in January of last year. So there was a long history of municipal project development before I came on board. But yeah, it really just comes down to kind of exploring the other municipal accounts and determining whether or not an on-site solar opportunity is feasible for them, or if this is an opportunity for them to partake in a project and help you increase your financial benefit under this transaction.
How do you offset their meters? It's just, how do they do that?
Yeah. So it would be through a program called virtual net metering, or VNM. If you've heard that reference previously.
No.
The solar incentive program here in Connecticut is called the Non-Residential Renewable Energy Solutions Program, or NRES, and this is a carve out in that program specifically for state agricultural or municipal customers, where you can essentially site a project on one parcel. You can just use the load from the other beneficial accounts to justify your system size that you're proposing here, keep the financial benefit for yourself, or you can share in that financial benefit with the other beneficial accounts that are participating as part of the project. So ultimately, it's up to you and how we want to structure that conversation, but either are an option under virtual net metering. And it's just a virtual allocation, so it'd be a monetary credit per kilowatt hour that would be allocated to the utility accounts that are provided.
Excellent. Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Well,
Nope.
Since we're in the startup phase here, this is good. And thank you for, explaining all of, all the information here, because there are a lot of parts to this, but this looks really great. And we meet tomorrow with Sam to go over the physical plant, and then then what's the next step after that?
So once the site visit takes place, ultimately, we are going to be running the competitive RFP for contractor selection. Through that solicitation that we would receive site-specific numbers for your project. Once we have that information in hand, we'd come back to you with the project economics to review and make contracting decisions off of. So you'll have the PPA economics to review and evaluate once we run the RFP.
And what's the timeline of signing off and signing up for this project?
Great question. So ultimately, because we're within the window of time where we need to safe harbor this project next year, and we have to comply with the FIAC or Foreign Entity of Concern procurement requirements, the project has to be contracted and Green Bank has to procure materials before July 4th of next year.
Okay.
So it sounds like a long time, but it is going to be
sure. And if
friendly.
going forward, if something changes and we choose not to do it, then, is that an option, or once you sign on, you're moving forward? Or, I just want to make sure something changes for whatever reason, Lord knows, but I didn't know if there was, if you're truly committed at that point, or you just walk away.
Yeah. So what
Or
we're
what
looking
obligation
for.
there is from the sewer commission to you.
Yep. What we're looking for at this point is ultimately your confirmation that you're interested in participating in Solar Map. What that does is allow Green Bank ultimately to scope this project for you, provide the technical assistance and project development support to get through to that RFP stage. We're not, because we can't show you numbers right now, we know you can't make a formal commitment that you're absolutely moving forward with this project. It will be at the point where we give you site-specific numbers from that RFP that we would ask for your commitment. The numbers don't work for you and it's not providing what you need in terms of savings to move forward. There's no harm, no foul. We can't obligate you to move forward, but we are looking for that commitment to participate in our program up to that point.
Okay.
And really part of that is being okay with our RFP process and not going out and soliciting proposals directly from the marketplace, because we ultimately are issuing this RFP to the entire contractor network. That's as part of our distribution list. So kind of creates a conflict of interest if you are soliciting proposals directly.
No, personally, if we sign up with you, we will have you will do the whole thing. I'm not going to go do a side hustle of other contractors to see if we can get a better price, since this is your project and you're going to see it through. And then, because if you went and got somebody else to sort of bid it out, then, certain warranties and guarantees and things like that would seriously, I'm sure, change. And that's, once we sign up for it, I think it's all in. So I don't think that's a consideration for us.
Okay, great.
Kathy?
Well, that's it. Go ahead.
Sorry, it's just so you're looking for a good faith verbal commitment. There's no money from the sewer commission to you guys.
Nope.
Is there any money down the road, or you guys are just
No.
a state helper?
That's right. So
Wow.
There's no cost for the assessments. There's no cost for the time that we put into developing the project. The PPA itself is a third-party ownership structure, so Green Bank is bearing those expenses. So we're not asking you to come out of pocket to participate in the program.
Okay.
I think it's a win-win for all of us, for sure. So, well, great.
Sure.
Does anybody else have anything they want to ask or curious about or whatever?
Do you need a motion with Katie present or after she goes?
Joyce?
I'm sorry?
Do you sorry, go
approve, vote on it as the board, or with Katie here, or it doesn't matter, or?
I think you should discuss it a little further before you make that motion, and you need to actually bring the town into it because there's a resolution that they need to sign off on. And if there's any financial obligation later on that you need the towns to sign off on, the sewer commission, should take all that into consideration and make sure that the town is on board, as well as the school, because the town does not own that property. And
No,
so
I know.
does that
Well,
have any impact on the project, Katie?
I think we need to chat
I mean, if we
further
get the
about
sign off from Kent's school, then I reached out to Jeff again today and he's out of his office, but if we get the school to sign off on it, I think that's at least a step in the right direction there. Okay. Well, Katie, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank
Really
you guys. Have a
appreciate
great
it.
evening.
Thank
Katie.
you. And we'll be in
Thanks.
touch. Thank you
Sounds
so
great.
much. Great. Bye.
Bye.
So I think, to be honest with you, if everything clicks off and goes as it theoretically should, I know it's going to be a snafu here and there possibly, but I think in general, I think it's an absolute win-win for everybody. They do all the work, we get the benefit, and the town gets the benefit. And once we see we're all set with Kent's school, we have a meeting tomorrow with the man to come out and look at the plan to push this further down the road. So, the next meeting will have some more information for everybody.
I think it's great.
Yeah, the electrical bills down there are crazy. So if we can, shave that off and get a benefit from it, I think it's really worth our while.
Do you have a guesstimate? Would it be like a 50% saving or 40% saving?
I don't know.
Hmm.
But what I'm assuming is that if we are able to give, some of that use to the other couple of, whether it's the fire department or the town hall or Kent Center School or whatever, that would be a benefit back to us. So, I'm not saying it's a moneymaker, but at least I don't know how it really works, to be honest with you, but I think
her sheet said an 85% offset of electrical costs that we're currently having.
So it's significant, and that would be great. So
Thanks. I didn't catch that at all. Thanks.
Yeah.
Do we know any other towns around us that have done this?
Town
of Litchfield has put in a system for their wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
I have the guy's card, but it might be worthwhile talking to him.
Totally.
Fill you in on any questions, details.
Yep.
I will.
But one thing, they cut all the grass. If there's any maintenance or anything inside that fence, no one's allowed in there other than the solar, whoever the people are to do the maintenance for them.
Huh.
My only concern would be is that the location, if it doesn't compromise us later, but Lyle doesn't seem to think that that's a problem.
Well, to be really honest with you, none of us at this stage of the ballgame know where the sewer plant is headed anyway. If somewhere down the road DEP comes in and says we have to totally change how we operate it down there, then we're going to have to cross that bridge when we get to it. But as of the present moment, we are fine for the moment. But that could change in a year. I don't know.
So what's the story with Bart? Is he back on board or?
He's if we really needed him for something, I'm sure he would come to help us out. But other than that, I don't think we can rely on Bart to be at the sewer plant.
There's a lot of things happening there with equipment being purchased and, maybe a little bit of a lack of planning for the future. We need to really, I think, get an engineering firm on board. I
don't disagree with you. I know he's been apprised of what we've been doing down there and so far has been, on board with what we were doing because these were all projects that he had also suggested we do. But but I agree with you. It would be optimum to have somebody that is a full-time engineer that we could reach out to without having to, go through whatever channels to get to.
So weren't there a couple of candidates, Loario or forget who the other one was?
Was
Yeah.
not. I've talked to Beta Group, Jason at the Beta Group, and they're on board. I've talked to him several times. As a matter of fact, I was on the phone with Bart today about what I found out about the with the blowers, and I was on the phone with the Dave Despodo, the gentleman who uh, uh, put that quote together for the blowers, and we I'm sure everybody read that email that I sent out.
Yeah.
Proposal. We're going to need to pump the brakes on that for a little bit because I believe that the blowers are going to have to come on full speed, build pressure, and then the motors can be slowed down. So an adjustment is going to have to be made to this quotation that I'm looking at now. It might add another $5,000 or $10,000 to that quote. So,
Yeah. Well, this is the perfect example of why we need an engineer on board. It's not fair to put the burden of all this on you, Lyle.
Yeah, no, I understand, Jack. I was just trying to say that I was in a conversation with Bart on this.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Anybody else have anything then regarding that? All right, well, we will, work on this project then, get more information and then come back to the board for next month with hopefully a lot more information there.
Okay, so you don't need a motion tonight.
No.
You can wait.
Yeah.
Not for the blowers, but for the Connecticut Green Bank.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So, since we were disrupted everything up here, can I get a motion for us to approve or amend today's agenda for the rest of the meeting?
So move.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. May I get a motion to approve the minutes from the October 14th regular sewer meeting?
So moved.
Thank you. Steve, second. Thanks,
Second.
Ellie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So new business, obviously is this, and reaching out to Jeff Cataldo at the school to get that done, get him to sign off on that or look into this. And then Willie Gal is getting back to those bollards, like hopefully by the end of the month. So hopefully by next meeting, we will have that project completed. Lyle, you want to?
Yes.
Your report.
Oh, all right. Good afternoon. Feels like evening. It's quite dark out. 2.3 million gallons total flow through the plant, 74,000 gallon a day per average. 828,000 gallons came from Kent School. BOD and TSS removal rates at the plant are 98%. We have one bed in use and 3 are cleaned and ready for use. As we were just talking about, the blower motor, the soft starters are failing on the blower motors. Traver IDC out of Waterbury came and quoted on replacement, but as of this afternoon, quote needs revision. But nothing in that proposal that I wrote has changed as far as that goes. Just the cost will change on how they operate. New grinder screener is still in the production phase. I had to go round and round with the company again over they wanted to put 460 motors on, and we have 208 3-phase. So I think they finally have that through their head, so to speak. I'm trying to be fresh to them. DEP visited the plant and did an extensive walkthrough. I have not heard back anything from them yet. In conversation with one of the people here, they seem to think that she said that I forget how she put it. She said, "I don't think you have anything to worry about any changes right away." She says, "I might not even be still working for the state by the time the permit renewal comes through." So, I'm not too optimistic that they're going to show up tomorrow and tell us they need to make any changes. But one comment that the other lady made that was here is she said that she didn't believe receiving septage would be able to go on. So I believe when the changes start being made, our septage income will go away. And currently we're at $50,991 taken in a septage, and our net income is $27,844.
Well,
So
did she say why? Why would it go away?
because it doesn't go through the plant. It gets distributed on
directly in. Yep.
And our plant is at our permit level 142,500 per day. There's no way we can introduce really any quantity of septage into the system without detrimental effect to the process.
Yep. Okay.
And
Yep.
I'm thinking that any kind of a treatment that we would have to do to the septage would be cost prohibitive, and be well past our lifetimes before any kind of a profit would be realized.
Okay.
Unless I don't know. I've read articles on using sewage for fertilizer purposes.
Yep. That
adds a whole nother expense and areas of storage. Inside, raising temperatures. Treating with lime. Stuff. And those regulations, I'm sure, are changing as well. So, without going any more into the weeds on that, I don't really have an adequate answer on what would happen besides it just stopping.
Lyle, how long do they usually take to generate a report, or at least a preliminary report?
That lady didn't sound optimistic that it was coming anytime soon. And one of the ladies, she probably was like 24 or 25, and she said that you might not even see this while I'm still working for the DEP. So I didn't know if she meant she was leaving soon, or she was going to take till she was retired.
Yeah. Okay.
Who's the other one processes like we do? Is it Sharon?
Woodridge Lake process is similar to us, but I believe they're starting to they truck their sludge now. That's another thing that when the new permit comes, it will more than likely make us truck our sludge off site. So it would go into a dumpster. Our dewatering method would have to change. We'd have to get more of the moisture content out, which still add in process cost. We'd have to switch polymers because we're at our moisture removal capacity now. We're currently at max with the polymer we have. I would have to get a BDP press, the designer of our press, to come in. I've spoke to them already. They would bring samples of different polymers, and we'd establish what is going to work best for our application. But that's also another expense. I'm kind of at a loss for words as far as the state goes, because there's not too many places that are taking sludge for incineration purposes, and they're at capacity. And if the state keeps forcing more and more places to have their sludge incinerated, where's it going to go? I heard talk of the other day. I was talking to an operator that said that Synagro wasn't going to take any more of their sludge, and they were going to have to truck it to New Jersey. I just don't understand. I honestly told that lady straight out when she said that she's afraid that septage wouldn't be allowed to be taken anymore. I said we're a small town. I said suddenly we have to come up with another $100,000 or something for plant operating expenses. I'm like, that'll be devastating to the town. I'm like, what are we going to tell all the sewer users that we have to go up 50% on our rates, and then next year go up 50%, and then the year after go up 50. You know, I just threw those numbers out there. I said, but that's crazy.
Mm.
I said, you know, there's no way that it can be just you're going to come here and say, okay, well, your truck and your sludge starting today, and you're not taking any septic starting today. I said, because it'll be devastating to them.
Well, I don't think they would give you 24 hours notice on it, but you know, I mean, it's definitely stuff that we really have to consider though, for sure. You know,
Yeah.
and we had this conversation a long time ago that if we had to redo the whole plant, you know, to make it be whatever the other places are doing, I mean, you're talking about a lot of money. I mean, what do the other towns do? I mean, Washington, you know, New Milford, what do they do? They truck it out.
Truck it. It goes into a dumpster and gets trucked away for generation.
Huh. Well, hopefully we won't hear from her for a while. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, we can't let it just be a surprise. We definitely have to figure out how to plan on this to see if that's what the case is. What?
Nobody pick up the phone if they call.
Yeah. Sorry, no one's here.
Yeah. But
Right.
anyway, just had to replace the starter on the Godwin pump. More expensive, it's $200 and something, but still part of the septic operation.
Well,
Yeah, I don't have anything else. I was going to talk more at length about blowers, but we're kind of on hold with that.
okay.
I was taken back a little bit by the efficiency of, you know, the blowers are old, and Gardner Denver company seems to think that they won't build pressure enough if we start them at a lower speed. They'll have to be started out at full speed and then slowed down, and so that has to be something in the controls that have to be figured in.
Well, all that equipment down there is not young. We all know that, you know,
No.
so that's what we, you know, if we can, you know, fix it here and there, fix the most important things first, at least we get some of that stuff, you know, get it corrected. But there's a lot of stuff down there that needs looking at.
Yeah, when they pulled off one of the electrical covers on the breaker panel out here, where those soft starters are, the guy turned to me and said, you know, he dug out a wire from the back, and he says, these wires are undersized for those motors, and those wires have been there since the blowers were put in.
Well, if the wires are undersized, is that why there's a problem with them?
No, just antiquated
Okay.
technology. And more soft starters are way past their life expectancy.
Okay.
You know, and
Well, as soon as you get that information back from him, let me know, and then we can either have a quick meeting or whatever. But I mean, obviously it's gonna have to get taken care of, so we'll figure this out.
like I said in that message, we have one of the new motor that we have with the current setup with the soft starters. The soft starters won't start that motor when it's on the generator. So usually, you know, when the generator comes on, the blowers will start. You know, the blowers run alternate. Every month we rotate the blowers. And like right now, we're on number 2 blower. That's the blower that won't start on the generator. So it's one of those things that somebody would have to come immediately, you know, if there was a power failure, whereas when the power goes out and the blower starts back up, you know, there's a less of a time that, you know, you don't have to go and jump in the car that minute, get over here. Just one of those things like Alyssa just referenced, that this stuff is old.
Okay. Well, on that good note.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's all right. No, it's important. It's important to know. I mean, you know, everybody has to realize that there's you know, it's not brand new. I mean, it's been operating, you know, for a long, long time. And, eventually stuff does wear out. I mean, and because it's such, because of where it is, it's such a corrosive environment down there, stuff just doesn't last, forever. I mean, that stuff has lasted an awfully long time. I mean, we've gotten our money's worth out of a lot of it down there, but certain things after a while, it just, it takes a beating. So we just, that's why we've been trying to replace these things as they happen so that, it's all back up and running efficiently. Okay. Thank you, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see. Barbara, are you on today? I don't know if she's here.
She's not on. She got tied up with something else, but she asked that you approve the disbursement list.
Okay. May I get a motion to approve the disbursement?
Motion.
Thanks, Al. Second.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve. And all in favor? Aye. Thank you. And I don't see Debbie to give us a report on. There's a couple of people that are dragging their heels on some old bills, so hopefully next month we will have that information from her. Does anybody else have anything they want to add in? Eric, thank you for listening in. Congratulations on your new role as selectman, and thanks for being here.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anybody else have anything else to add in or concerns or whatever?
Nope.
Okay, then meeting adjourned at 5:24. And thank you all very much. And hopefully we'll have some new answers for next month. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you.